Good day, lovely people. How are you all? This is the other news you'll never hear on TV. I have some pretty interesting news today. I thought I would jump on here, take a break from my planting. I got lots of plants growing right now, so hopefully there will be a good harvest. There's some news about the sun, though, that may not be so good. So, folks, if you can learn how to grow plants inside, it may do very good for you in the near future. So I guess the top story for today is the U.S. meat supply under threat as cyber attack spreads across JBS's plants nationwide. So this was updated Eastern Standard Time around 2:30. Americans across the country are increasing Googling meat shortages as the afternoon progresses following the news of the JBS ransomware attack. Reports continue to trickle out at this time with Bloomberg. JBS, the world's largest meat supplier, has suspended operations at 10 meat plants after a ransomware attack. So this is just kind of trickling in, and they said that JBS's 5 meat processing plants handle approximately 22,500 head of cattle per day. The results of halting these plants for an extended period of time could result in a decline of upwards of a quarter of America's meat production. Folks, you think meat is expensive now, just wait. I believe it's going to go through the roof. Readers need to focus on that a quarter of all beef capacity and about a fifth of all pork capacity in the U.S. has been affected due to this ransomware attack. The timing of these attacks come after a long holiday weekend when, people are barbecuing and doing all this stuff. But visualizing JBS's U.S. capacity is rather frightening, as this may suggest soaring meat prices and shortages will be next. So basically, it breaks down here at ZeroHedge.com, the American beef giants, and I've never even heard of Leucadia. They get 10%. Cargill is 18%. Tyson is 22%. JBS is 23%, and there are other processors at 27%. So you can see that they hold a big chunk of that meat industry. Folks, if you've got land, it's time to start growing your own herds, your own flocks. Think about sheep. They're very easy to take care of. Think about turkeys. Think about chickens, folks. They are very easy to take care of. Very minimal. And you get everything. You get meat, you get eggs from chickens, turkeys, you get stuff to sell with turkeys, their little chicks and everything. I'm hoping that news of all of this is going to prompt many of you to start growing your own food and taking care of yourselves, because we are not going to be able to rely on the food processing people anymore. They're doing this claiming that they've been attacked cyberly, which, I'm sure it's going on, but at the same time, this is a coordinated satanic Luciferian agenda to basically destroy the world's entire population. It's just beginning, folks, and it's time that you take care of yourself and your families. The other article that is very important, and I wanted to get this out today, is from Israel365news.com. The global food shortage is anticipated to begin after the sabbatical year, a prophecy presaging the Messiah. Folks, Leviticus 25:19 says, "The land shall yield its fruit, and you shall eat your fill, and you shall live upon it in security." But this is with conditions. It's conditions that you obey the laws of God and you keep his ordinances, his precepts, his judgments, and all of his statutes. And you understand that these are put in place to love our neighbor, to love God and to love our neighbor. And it's how to live on the earth too. It's a very clear-cut plan on how to exist with God and your neighbors. So the sabbatical year is coming really quickly, folks. Many experts warn that the Earth's bounty will not suffice to feed the world, but prophetic messages and rabbinic wisdom putting the looming crisis in a redemptive framework paints a different picture. Last year, many experts were predicting severe global food shortages. In November 2020, the UN World Food Program reported that 690 million people were undernourished and 130 million additional people risked being pushed to the brink of starvation by the end of the year. These are dire predictions. They were exasperated even further by the pandemic. One of the many challenges facing this food market, all the nations are facing this, folks. It's not just America anymore. Is the closing of borders due to the pandemic. This is still ongoing, especially with India. There's some really crazy stuff going on in India right now. I've been reading stories that they're actually, if you refuse to wear masks in India, the police are pulling you over and they're actually sticking nails through your hands and your feet, just like they did with Christ. It's kind of crazy, but there are reports coming out that people are becoming very violent with other people in the world right now because they won't kowtow to this Luciferian agenda. So they're basically saying that in order to meet all the nation's demand, the world will need to produce about 70% more food than today to feed all these people. And with all of this setup with the grand solar minimum and the Luciferians cyber attacking all the meat processing plants and killing of the animals in mass quantities, they're really just shutting this all down, and they're shutting it down quickly. There is a chief executive, Sarah Menker from Grow Intelligence founder, has put a dim light on this calculations such as the ones put out by the UN focused on mass and weight and not nutritional value. According to our nutritional value-based calculations, next year, the year 2023, will be the crossover point when we will no longer be able to produce enough food to feed the population. So that she is estimating that by 2027, there could be a 214 trillion calorie deficit. At this point, China, India, and Africa will make up more than half of the population of Earth and will need to import food, folks. Is this pointing towards Bible prophecy? I do believe so. The nations of the world, their sustenance is running out. Continually, people are denying Yahweh. They won't even, ask who he is. They won't even seek out who he is. They won't even incline their ear to listen to what he has to say. And so there may be some prophecies coming to fulfillment very, very soon. There is a 300-year-old prophecy, according to Menker's prediction, of an imminent global food crisis. Now, remember, when they say global, it's just the earth, folks, and the earth rests on pillars put up by the Lord himself. And yeah, we're not going to go there again. You read your Bibles, there's 300 scriptures in there that says that the earth does not move. So anyway, this mirrors a prophetic vision credited to Rabbi Zalman of Liadi. Sorry if I mispronounced this. This was an 18th century Jewish scholar. And after reading the Torah scrolls, he had a vision that the Messiah would come after the year 5775. So that was 6 years ago. His vision was based on the Jewish tradition that the world was given a general amount of sustenance to last 4,000 years from creation. When that sustenance ended, the Messiah would come. It was taught in the Talmud, the book of Jewish oral law, which I do not agree with, that the Messiah can come anytime between the year 4000 and the year 6000, according to the Hebrew calendar. His vision came while reading the section of Torah dealing with the half shekel taken from every Jewish male each year. The half shekels from the 600,000 Jews in the desert, Numbers chapter 1, verse 46, equaled 100 talents of silver, with each talent composed of 3,000 full shekels of silver, but the Bible lists an additional 3,550 half shekels, which is 1,775 full shekels, from which Moses made the silver hooks at the top of the pillars used to set up the screen surrounding the tabernacle in the desert. After the rabbi explained that those 1,775 shekels of silver given to the tabernacle gave the world another 1,775 years of sustenance. So that was pretty interesting. So this sustenance, as pointed out by scientific experts, is quickly running out. So snow preceding Shemitah signals famine preceding redemption. So like I said, folks, I'm kind of scrounging and scurrying along trying to get things prepared for Shemitah. And it's been difficult this year. So please pray for me that I'll be able to get everything I need to go through the whole year. But we were fighting getting snow here the other day. I think it was last Friday. And it got cold. It got down to 38 degrees. And of course, a little bit of snow is not going to hurt a lot of the hardier crops. But, tomatoes don't like that stuff. And once they die and all that growth and everything. So this is not just happening to me. There are folks that I talk with in Missouri on homesteads who haven't even been able to get plants into the ground. And in Missouri, that is very odd because right now people should be planting the majority of their food, and like corn should be knee-high to 4th of July at least. And they're finding it is raining so much in the Midwest that they can't even get plants into the ground. So please pray for our nation and the nations that God would put off the judgments for a while longer, so that we can prepare for Shemitah and be obedient and do the things that He has asked us to do and to reap those blessings and promises. So there is another prophecy of the impending agricultural crisis predicted by Rabbi, I can't pronounce his name, Yukatuli Fish in March, based on the Midrash, which states that in Hebrew month of Nisan, in the year before the Shemitah, which was just this last April, the great snowstorm will cause widespread famine in every nation in order to raise the collective consciousness that the Messiah is indeed imminent. Such a snowstorm did appear in Israel, as well as a massive and devastating polar vortex that crippled the middle of the U.S. Do you guys remember when all of that happened and Texas lost power? Oh, yes, folks. Many people had already put their plants into the ground, and then the polar vortex hit, and they've lost their entire crop. They had to start all over again, and then it started raining. So, folks, we are looking at some severe interactions from the Lord here. So this year, September 6, 2021 is Rosh Hashanah, the head of the new year. It is also the beginning of the sabbatical year, Shemitah, and it comes every 7th year, making it a form of Sabbath that occurs on a yearly rather than a weekly cycle. The Sabbath is generally characterized by a cessation that signifies accepting God's greater authority in the world. Practically, during the weekly Sabbath, this means the cessation of labor, showing that despite spending 6 days working for the material, we stop on the 7th day, and that shows that God is the true master. The same is true for the Shemitah year. We work on the land for 6 years, and then on the 7th, we leave the land fallow, and the fields are left open for anyone to come and take of that fruit. Shemitah has a specific significance related to the Messiah. There is possibility, perhaps even probability, the Messiah will come the year after the Shemitah. He probably wants to know, giving people the last chance to start obeying his laws. And, this could be it, folks. This could be our last chance with him, because Israel did the same thing in the Old Testament. And after she stopped observing Shemitah, I think it was for, 400 years or something. Anyway, they had stopped doing Shemitah for a very long time, and then God punished them 7 times 7. And so I think that's where the 400 comes in, where they were, taken out of Jerusalem and Israel, and they were taken into captivity for over 400 years. And so now they're coming back from the diaspora, and so now God wants to, make sure everybody is on par with his plans, what he wants us to be doing. So I'm really, really addressing this right now. I think everybody should, get in your prayer closets, fast and pray over this, whether God, what he wants you to do. There's so many ways to approach Shemitah. What I tried to do is save up enough food that it will be able to last for a whole year. And of course, towards the end of that year, you start to get low on a lot of things, but God said he would bless you if you keep his commandments, if you do his feast days and you obey him, he will take care of you. And so the promise is that in the 6th year, you will have a bountiful harvest for the next 3 years, basically. And so that's what I am planning on doing, folks. Leviticus 25 and 21 says, I will ordain my blessing for you in the 6th year, so that it shall yield a crop sufficient for 3 years. Observing the Shemitah is an expression of faith that God will keep his promises. And God has kept all of his promises, as witnessed by the Jews returned to Israel. He will, of course, keep all of his promises that he stated indefinitely, folks. He will do it. Some other ways that I'm preparing for Shemitah is I get a lot of pine shavings, and I get those totes with the lids on them, and I will get mostly towards the end of Shemitah, I will put all of my potatoes inside these, and carrots and leeks and things that, that will keep for a long time in cold storage. So you don't want it freezing cold, but you want it cool enough and dark enough to where it's not going to spoil. And these things you'll be able to keep for like a whole year. And, other things you can do is dehydrate your food or buy big packages of dehydrated food. There's lots of ways to go about doing this. You still have a few months left to prepare. So folks, it's getting close. Our redemption is drawing nigh. All right, I'll be back later on with a larger newscast. Yahweh bless you all. Bye.